What's going on, high tier players? Today's update is going to be on Schedule 1's Cartel update, and I wanted to make sure to include enough video footage to give you a good idea about how to start everything off without spoiling too much of the storyline, because I know some people want to actually experience it for themselves for the first time as a surprise. So don't worry, I made sure to have not too many spoilers about anything other than how to start the storyline and questline. So if you have a real problem with even just knowing how to start it, well, that is in there, I have to warn you. But for those of you that don't and just want to know how to get everything started, I didn't show anything more than that, so don't worry about that. Now, let's get right into it. So I had to start off with just saying that the update right now is in a borderline unplayable state. And the reason for that is mostly just bugs. A lot of times the quests won't start, NPCs won't load, objects aren't there that you have to interact with. Very important stuff that, makes it kind of work is still very buggy. So lower your expectations when you're logging onto the beta branch for this. The first thing that I want to address is that in order to even access any of the content, we're currently having to use a console command because the progression systems just plain old aren't working. So the console command to actually access the content is set region unlocked, no spaces or anything, and then you put a space, and the proper name is Westville. You need to have this entire command exactly as you see on screen here, because if you don't, the game just doesn't unlock the area for you right now, so you can't get to the content. Once you have this area unlocked, you can access the quest line. You can access the the quest line eventually unlocks the things like the manor that you can eventually buy. So this is the beginning to the entire content. So this is how you start it. This is not currently something that you can access regularly in game. Maybe this will change. Hopefully he patches this out pretty soon, but as of right now, you have to access the content like this. So if you're getting in there and you're wondering, why isn't this working? The system's not promoting me and it's not unlocking the new area. That's why. You have to use this command. Now, you can start off by going up to this cartel member who eventually contacts you after unlocking the Westville area. You'll notice that one morning you just wake up and there's a text message on your phone. You have to go respond to it. You go meet this guy in the taco tickler lot, and he's waiting here in a black SUV. Sometimes the black SUV has not spawned. Restarting your game, reloading seems to help this problem. Obviously, though, this is something that we hope they'll be patching in. So you go up, you talk to this guy. He starts the quest line. You have a couple of options here. You can either make an enemy of the cartel right off the bat, which means you're going to have a lot of confrontations, or you're going to start making deals with the cartels. They're going to start sending you on basically fetch quests. They'll send you the same sort of thing that you get for the rest of your orders from your customers, except you deliver it to them instead. They'll also be doing it at a wholesale rate, so it tends to be pretty large quantities and not a whole lot of profit in it for you. But, I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's a cartel. So this is how you are progressing through the various quest lines, doing some fetch quests for them, increasing these rankings, and also lowering their standing in each area so that you can unlock the newer areas. However, they try to lock you into these two areas, so if you want to expand beyond this, you have to start making some enemies, and this unfortunately means right now you have to deal with the next mechanic, and it's not great at the moment. So the way that the dealers get harassed, we thought there were going to be actual live patrolling units of cartels roving around the city, constantly harassing your customers, your dealers, as dealers are going off, trying to catch your dealers as they're flush with a certain amount of money or product in order to really hurt your operations. But you can go out there with your weapons and physically just, stop them. This didn't end up being what we got. Instead, we got a system where your dealer just simply loses all his stuff. And I really mean that. Your money, your product, everything. They'll be robbed of everything, cleared out. So stocking up your dealer is actually really, really bad right now. And the other problem is that because there's no physical interaction, it's not like a physical unit spawns, shows up, harasses your dealer at the location. You can show up at the same location, fight them off. There's none of that interactivity that I thought was going to be in here. Instead, it just vanishes. You don't even get a message, for example, when your dealer gets robbed. They just don't have their stuff anymore, and you're suddenly going to notice, hey, my dealer doesn't have any money and he doesn't have any product. What happened? That's what happened. They just nabbed him, and they don't even send you a notice to let you know, hey, I got robbed, took the product and the money. We don't even have any notifications like that right now. So quite frankly, it's up to you to notice whether or not your guys even got hit, and then once they get hit, there's no way for you to counterattack. There's no way for you to get your stuff back. There's no way, nothing. It's gone, and there's no counterplay right now. That is a very, very bad system. Just straight up telling you, that's a really horrible system. No counterplay has got to be the worst decision you can make as a game developer, is implementing something that punishes them, but there's no way for them to counterplay it. You have to include counterplay. It's one of the, I'd say it's one of the pillars of making a good game, is allowing the gamer to be good enough to circumvent the mechanic of punishment. That's just how all games have to be. It doesn't have to be a competitive online game. It can just be a single player game. You have to have these types of mechanics in there. So I don't know if this reaches Tyler or anyone in the development studio. Probably not. I'm just a small channel here. But this is a very big point going forward. When you want to implement features like this, you have to include gameplay that goes with those features. If you don't have that interactivity, the player just feels like the whole game got worse. Honestly, it just like, I'm highly restricted now in giving dealers anything. I want to do everything myself, and that's just not what the cartel system, at least in my mind, was going to be. It was supposed to be this whole mechanic thing that kind of joins into the world, and now you kind of have to deal with this on top of making sure your operations are going smoothly. So you've got logistics problems on top of employee problems on top of multi-facility problems. Then at the same time you're solving all of that, you've got the cartel messing with your guys. Instead, this seems to be also it's a one and done system. Like once you're done clearing out an area, that's it. The cartel interaction is completely stopped. It's business as usual again. So the system is very, very limited, and also I found the quest line to be rather short. If I'm being just entirely honest, I thought the quest line was going to be considerably longer than it was. I understand, by the way, one man designing this whole thing, but the vision for this system, in my opinion, needs to be larger than this. Storyline-wise, it needed to be something that was an ongoing thing that we continuously deal with. There should be multiple chapters, multiple bosses even that we end up dealing with, going up the cartel chain, up the hierarchy that they have until you eventually reach Big Boss. I really would have liked to see an episodic kind of content release where we see this really unfold over many, many hours of content and many, many updates. It taking several installments to really flesh this whole system out and implement it properly. So I still hold some hopes that might be in the future for development, but so far that doesn't seem to be the plan, and that's certainly not what we got. So maybe we, as a community, put forth a message that we would like to see this expanded upon. I don't know how we would do that other than through the voting systems he currently has or through his Discord server. So we'll have to come together and figure out a message when it comes to this, because at least for me right now, maybe I'm in the minority. I have to find out. It's not enough for me right now. It's not really doing it. It seems like the update kind of it did genuinely make the game worse. I think at least as far as how the systems are working right now. I know the bugs will eventually be fixed, but yeah, the systems right now definitely make the game feel worse. So hopefully he starts fleshing this system out more, listens to how we have critiques and concerns about how this update went, not just in this release cadence, by the way. I understand that too. A little tip for that, by the way: you want to make your release windows, the dates, way further off than you actually intend. I used to be a developer long ago, so I understand. I've made this mistake before. You need to, if you think it's going to take like a month and a half, tell them 3 months and then surprise them with, oh, we were 3 weeks early on the release. That kind of optics on your company's development schedule looks way better than you having to delay and delay and delay. It makes you look incompetent, even though we know you're not. So just keep these things in mind going forward. And as far as the player base, keep your expectations a little tapered when it comes to this update. Again, not trying to give too many spoilers, but I did think it was a little on the short side, and the scope is a little lackluster. The implementation could also use some work. Tyler did, of course, include a couple of other free goodies in here that weren't exactly expected. One of them being a new vehicle here. We call it the Hot Box. As you can see here, it's a nice green SUV. Looks pretty decent. One of the higher ranking cars up here. It's got a decent amount of trunk space. Of course, 5 nice slots. And just the aesthetics of it, quite nice. All right, so now we can take a look at the actual unit itself here. So we walk past the parking garage. We go over to the now aesthetically redone Stash and Dash storage unit. So we can see here there's a couple of other people's units over here. I have no idea if there's NPCs actually in here. I tried knocking on them. There wasn't anybody that answered at this particular time. But there might be people living here now. This might be a place where they can add some extra NPCs. There's another door that goes out the back here. And then if we run over here to our actual unit, take a look inside. There's a decent amount of space in here. Definitely a big upgrade from the apartment that you have over above the Chinese restaurant. Just a basic little light over here, a little spigot right next to the door so you can fill your watering can. And there's enough space that you can put in a decent amount of pots in here, grow tents, and get your first little indoor setup decently set up here before you go over to the bungalow, which does feel like a pretty decent upgrade in size compared to this. Although price-wise, I still think that a difference of only $1,000 is a little bit odd. I think they ought to put the bungalow maybe up at above like 8 to 10,000 or something now that they have this in the game. But yeah, it's still a great first stop. This is a good place to have everybody start off because it's right centrally located next to the other two places that you've just gotten. Now, the way this cartel system works is they have a certain amount of influence, which is represented by this number up here, the red number of 300 out of 1,000 you see there. It will vary depending on each area that you unlock, and it will be much higher when you start. You have to reduce their influence down to that number if you want to have considered to conquer that region and thus unlock the next region. So my final thoughts on the update are, while it's really awesome for just some new content in the game, if you're not a kind of a fanatic about the game already, I would skip this one for a little while until at least they patch out some of the bugs, because even in the beta branch right now, it's really rough trying to get the game even to run and the quest lines to trigger correctly. So I'd wait a little bit. We'll keep you updated on whether or not they fix these bugs so that you can access the regular content, and also whether or not he addresses our concerns made in this video, because they seem to be pretty universal when it comes to what I'm seeing on the Steam reviews. So that's all for now. Stay on that high tier, players. The view from up here is always worth it.